you watch? We've got everything covered on the program, so let's get started. How to eat right. The government panel now comes out with food guidelines. There are some obviouses like avoid processed food, avoid packaged food, think about cooking utensils and your oil. But what are the solutions? What are these substitutes? We are whipping them up right here on TBC.
The dream of buying a house that is comfortable, that is clean, now more accessible. We introduce you to Chennai's Vanmati. Vanmati turns shipping containers into beautiful homes, and it turns out you don't necessarily need the usual construction materials, sand, stone, cement. She does something entirely different.
The Bajaj Pulsar NS400Z, the newest bike in town. It's a pocket rocket and just 2 lakh. Should you buy? What is the review coming up on the program?
And thank God it's Friday. We get you a weekend roundup of where to go, what to do, what to watch in your city, what's going to build that perfect weekend for you. Coming up on the program.
All right, let's start the program today with some conversation about food. It is the Breakfast Club after all. So we know, all of you by now know that how passionate we are about driving food awareness, and that's why the happy news this morning is now that ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research, along with the National Institute of Nutrition, has come up with, for the first of its kind, guidelines on what is the right way to eat. What should your plate look like? What utensils should you be using? And also which oil?
So this is a comprehensive list and it goes into 15 different points. We've listed them out for you. But perhaps the one that stares at you the most, the one we're going to be taking a deep dive into, is that of processed food. Now, we've known this for a while. Even government bodies are acknowledging that packaged food should be avoided.
Now, it's very easier said than done, right? Packaged food, we all like. Why? We know it's bad for our body, but it's easy to access, easy to consume, terrible for our body, but what should we do? So on the program today, we thought we'll bring you what are the substitutes? Are there healthy options really available? So joining us for that is Suman Agarwal. She's a very renowned nutritionist and is live with us now. Good morning. Suman, thanks so much for joining us. It's breakfast time, but we are talking a lot about cravings and we're talking a lot about food. So let's sort of dip into that. You know, one of the things when it comes to eating packaged food or processed food is when we get hunger pangs. Hunger pangs that happen in the middle of the day or late in the night. Do you have some healthy substitutes into what do I do when I really want to reach out to that packet of chips?
Yeah, all these health cravings, which is chips, which is excessively salty, or samosa, etc., are of course not at all healthy for you. So what I would do or tell my clients who come to me is that instead of, first of all, you need to eat your meals on time. So don't miss the 4-hour gap. If your breakfast is at 9, make sure lunch is at 1, snack at 5, dinner at 9. Once you have your meals on time, the craving will be little lesser. But even so, if you still craving, then go for, say, coconut water, go for soup or some salad which you can stir fry. Don't have grains at that time because that will mess up your next meal. So that's what I tell everyone. Fruit is also fine. Put some salt to make it salty. So these are the cravings we tell people to take. Buttermilk for that reason. So healthier choices. Nuts also.
But Suman, sometimes the tricky thing with these alternatives, so something like makhana is you eat too much, dark chocolate, you eat too much and then you have another new problem. Is that something you find happening again and again with your clients? What's the advice you give them with portion control in particular?
This happens, of course. So, there is something, if you miss your 4-hour mark, which is if you had your lunch and you don't have snack till say 6 o'clock, then there is ghrelin level in our body, which goes up. And then you can't satisfy your hunger with just makhana and you keep eating excess of that. So not missing your mark is important. And then, of course, taking healthier choices and having right food in front of you is important. So, Go for a fruit, go for coconut water, go for salad. Don't take solid food at the same time. Is portion control only happens if you've had your last meal on time.
I see. We're talking about substitutes today, Suman. So very important to understand that there are easy alternatives available. I don't know how
Yeah.
easy then opening up a packet and just eating it like that, but there are options, and we are throwing some of them that you also spoke about earlier on the screen for our viewers also to sort of look at. But the weekend
Yes.
is just around the corner. A lot of parties, house parties are the norm these days are coming up. Can you give us some tips on how to make your partying, snacking options healthy?
So, party snacking options, we of course, the easy ones are to go for the dips and instead of chips, use vegetable fingers like cucumber, carrot, etc. But of course, instead of just going for hummus and the hunker dip, there are variations. You can make a red lentil dip, which is amazing. Then instead of just having a curd dip, maybe infuse, say, yeah, avocado, like guacamole, along with little paneer and make it like a creamy paste and use it with vegetables. Then you can easily call for dhokla, which is not a packaged food. And you can make a dhokla bhel, which is so interesting. Okay, with adding some onions and tomatoes and some chutneys, it becomes like a bhel, crush the dhokla, which we do it all the time. Then, stirring up some stir-fried vegetables with paneer, which increases your the bowl of the stir-fried vegetables with uh, mushrooms and broccoli and all the three colors of capsicum. This is our go-to party snack every time, and everyone appreciates. And just some Italian herbs. It's yummy. Then you can also have tikki with sprouts and broccoli. Steam both of them, add some Indian masala, make like a tikki with some binding agent. It tastes really yummy. So many options like this can be thought about, and they are very simple to make and can be had.
But Suman, that's your advice, when someone's hosting a party, can you tell us,
Yeah.
because one of the big problems in India is, you're going to a wedding, you're going to someone's house, you can't say no to the food there, it's considered very bad manners. So how do you suggest your clients in those moments? What do you suggest they do? Because na to keh nahi sakte. So then what do you say we should do?
Yeah, so going to a wedding, having the huge spread of food, I just tell my clients, first of all, fill up your stomach with some hot soup. In weddings and all, in parties, when you go, I tell them to avoid raw food because, India being such a hot and humid country, there could be a chance of lot of contamination. So I tell them go for, say, cheese and with the cheese dip and crackers, or go for soups first and, take some paneer starters, which is protein heavy. So this is what I tell them to choose first. Choose your proteins and your filler first. Then your stomach is full, then go for carbs. So you'll not overeat on carbs. That's what we tell them.
Yeah, yeah. Suman, I also wanted to understand, I think one of the mistakes that people do when it comes to binge eating, and we're talking about, packaged food over here. So is it a lot of times what happens is people confuse their body's signals? Instead of drinking and, sort of filling yourself and giving yourself some water, you end up reaching out to eat something. How does one tell when your body is asking for water and when your body is asking for food?
That in between meals, when we are like, okay, I need to eat something. So as you rightly said, we all are, I hardly get any person who's not happy, who's having enough water. Everyone is just 1 liter to 1.5 liters. So they do confuse. Either it is boredom, or second, it's stress, okay? Or third, it is thirst, which they are confusing with. So first is satisfy your hunger may be wrong signal, maybe with a glass of water first. Then what I do, because I have appointments after appointments, so I tell my staff, ki get me a coconut water, keep it ready. So in between, I take that. That also
Yeah,
gives
good
you
idea.
energy. Yeah, and also a banana, simple banana, which is available everywhere, and it is so rich in potassium and immediately gives you sugar. The brain only works on sugar. Okay, it needs constant glucose supply if you are working hard and you're continuously letting your brain work. So banana gives that instant energy and the sugar to the brain. So that's a very good alternative, and it comes as a whole fruit. You don't have to carry from home. It's available everywhere. So, or
Yeah.
they can get hydrating drinks, like as I mentioned, chas from home and have it in between. Sometimes I have a cup of tea because at least that little bit sugar which comes is also fine. The dip tea, not the boiled chai.
Yeah, yeah. So understand hunger cues, understand when your body is just asking for water and you don't need to really go and eat something, and eat in proportion and eat right. That's the message there. Thanks so much for joining us with those updates. But talking about substitutes, I know the question on your mind is that it's okay to say whip up a dip at home, but how? It's going to take more time than just opening up a packet. So we, spoke with Chef Sneha, who tells us a good substitute to mayo. Mayo, which we all know is very bad.
अपने स्नैक टाइम को बनाइए और भी यमी विद दिस हेल्दी वेजी स्प्रेड. लेट्स मेक दिस. ग्रेटेड वेजीज को सॉल्ट के साथ मिक्स करके 5 मिनट के लिए साइड में रखेंगे. हंग कर्ड पे सॉल्ट, ऑरिगेनो, पेपर एंड लेमन जूस डालेंगे. सारे एक्सेस लिक्विड को स्क्वीज आउट करके वेजीज को हंग कर्ड के साथ बहुत अच्छे से मिक्स कर लेंगे. अब ये वेजी डिप रेडी है. सो सर्व दिस विद टोस्टेड ब्रेड एंड डिग इन.
Okay, yum. That's one way, something you can even implement for breakfast. But if you're not the one to cook at home, what are the options for you then? Because we also wanted to cover if that's your reality. So, if you have to go out and buy healthy alternatives, what can you do? How do you cover that? How can you read your labels correctly? Knowing where that begins is also very important.
And as they say, abs are made not in the gym but in the kitchen. And in fact, the journey starts with our shopping cart. So next time you go out and the weekend is coming, everybody who's into grocery shopping, we're urging everyone to look at those labels more carefully. And if you're wondering how to do that, well, our next guest is going to tell you just that. Joining us now is Revant. Revant has done a lot of work in terms of reading labels right. He now recently has an anthem which says Label Padhega India. He's driving a lot of awareness there. But Revant, welcome to the program. I want to first start by asking you, everything you say sounds so sensible, but so difficult to sort of replicate or change habits. Is that your experience as well?
Reading labels is not that difficult to actually do. The challenge is once you read the label, you realize that almost everything is not good for you. And then what do we actually eat? So that is the hard part. So yeah, I mean, the good part is that slowly it challenges companies to give a better alternative. So it will not happen immediately. It may take 3-4 years, but then the clean food companies will come in, and then the existing companies will also launch better alternatives so that it gets easier for the people. So it's a long journey, and I agree it's not that it's not going to be a one-stop solution. But already there are other there are ways that once you realize something is unhealthy and you keep a lookout for it, maybe slowly you'll start finding alternatives.
Revant, you yourself are someone who's trained in nutrition, so you know the nuances that are involved here. Tell us how you, when you're in the kitchen or when you're out in the grocery stores, how do you make your choice in terms of what you're picking up?
Once again, if I'm completely honest, it's not easy because in today's age, almost everything is processed, and even the atta we are buying, technically it's coming out of a packet. Nothing is nothing is fully clean, and we're not living in farms. We cannot produce our own food and things like that. So it is not very easy. We cannot make clean choices. We can only make better choices. We can only pick, just the way in politics, you pick the lesser of the two evils. Similarly, in food, you pick the lesser of the two evils. And that is the only thing you can do. So, for example, with chai, that's a common question I get asked. Like, I tell people not to eat biscuits. So, alternatively, you can eat the makhana and the roasted chana and bhel and modi and murmura and things like that. Now, Some people then share clips of that, oh, the murmura was made in an unhygienic way, or the makhana was made in an unhygienic way. So there is no end to it. Then, like, you just have to pick
Yeah.
the easier and better alternative. Similarly with fruits and vegetables, I keep asking people to eat fruits and vegetables, and then people tell me, oh, but even fruits and vegetables are filled with chemicals, and people are putting colors into it and things like that. So there is no end to being perfect. You cannot be perfect with food. You can just choose a slightly better alternative.
Right. So, Revant, I have to ask you about your campaign. It has a lot of celebs. We'll try and play that up on the screen as well. Some of the biggest celebs in the country have come out and said that, we should be reading your labels. You should be more careful about what you eat. But the reality is also that a lot of these celebs are also endorsing some of these highly processed products. So how do you balance it out, really?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I cannot go after with a stick to every celebrity that what are you doing and things like that. I have relatively the celebrities who supported me are relatively more of the health conscious celebrities. But the advantage is I only look at one thing: are more people getting aware? And if that celebrity has 40 million followers, and if they are able to share it on their page and thereby a few million people reach, more people get aware of this, then it's a win for me. Now, what they're doing in their personal lives, I cannot go after them for that. So yeah, I mean, the only goal is again to try to get India to become health literate, and whatever it requires, that has to be done.
Okay, Revant, we can't let you go without asking you one last question, which is, what's your tip, the tip we should all take home today in terms of how to eat cleaner?
So one thing which I tell people to read labels, but before that I even tell people the best foods are those which don't even have labels. So the fruits and vegetables and the natural products that we have in the market, which they don't have labels. So that is like one thing which I tell people. When I tell people consume things without labels, some people go and consume alcohol because alcohol doesn't have a nutrition label, and then that's like that's a strong lobbying which exists, that a milk packet will have a label but a whiskey bottle will not have a label. That's a crazy lobbying which exists. But yeah, I mean, if you were to read a label, try to pick those products which have one ingredient. Like for example, a clean peanut butter is one which has only peanuts. Or not so clean peanut butter has peanuts and then sugar and vegetable fat and many other things. So this is basically like a quick way to figure out what is healthy or not. Try to pick one ingredient products.
Right, right. All right, Revan, that's a good tip. Buy things which do not have a label at all. So you'll end up in some form or the other consuming clean. So that's the good one that I'll take back home at least. Thanks so much, Revan, for joining us with those very exciting details. On that note, we're going to slip into our first break. Coming up on the other side is our person of interest who's turning your dream of getting a house one container at a time. Come right back for that.
Of course, you don't get paid for the entire time, but if you choose to do some office work or groundwork, you can still, keep yourself occupied and earn a basic salary.
So, ma'am, if we swerve a little and discuss the story we were talking about a little while ago, which is India's current issue, which is that there seems to be a shortage of pilots in India, world over. In India, experts say that there's a gap in the kind of training we give our pilots. How do you see this?
So I think you've hit the nail on the head. The main thing is training. Computer-based training, and the training is evolving. Every day training is evolving. So what we did, I think, in the airlines in India, we didn't evolve with the way the airline industry has, moved up. So it's been exponential. The growth has been exponential with the airlines ordering aircraft. I mean, not in fives and tens, not in tens, but in hundreds. I think we need a lot of pilots. So basically, the first thing is our training schools, our flying schools in India need a revamp, a major upgrade. So I think IGRUA, which is Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, and NFTI, National Flying Training Institute, these are the premier flying training institutes of India. They have done really well. They've got simulators, they've got instructors, they fly from beautiful airports, with an air traffic control. That's the need of the hour. And I think sometimes, you hear about these fly by night operators, meaning, they just start a school and then they have crashes. So even the auditing is important of what they are training, how they are training, how it is structured. And children are just going abroad, they're finishing their flying, they're coming back. Sometimes they're not even flying. So they're just filling up their logbooks and they're flying and they're coming back and they join an airline. So I think the training has to be much better, much improved, and it has to be an ongoing process.
Right, right. So lovely to hear that, ma'am. But as we end this segment, is there a particular myth that you find yourself busting since you are such a trailblazer yourself, or a question perhaps that you hear a lot?
Are you a real pilot? So they ask you, so they ask all women they meet, are you a real pilot? Do you actually fly? So I get asked the question even.
Welcome back on The Breakfast Club. Next, we're moving to an inspiring story to start your weekend with. The story of a woman armed with an ingenious solution to an ever-pervasive issue. On the show today, let's introduce you to Vanmati. She's now turning containers into homes.
For years now, she's been turning containers into homes, making it affordable, clean housing, a reality really. And you know how much it takes? Just 30 days, just 3 lakh rupees, and Vanmati has a home for you. Isn't that exciting? Take a look for yourself.
Owning a house, a distant dream for many. But Chennai's Vanmati is turning that into reality. One container at a time.
Actually, this Maxwell Container Care we started 18 years before. But when I was searching a job for me after finishing my graduation, I came to Chennai. Then I got one job in same container repairs marine private limited company as a typist. I started my career as a typist on private company. That company is related to container repairs. Then after 14 years, I gained a lot of experience from that company. I came to know the merits and demerits and what are the benefits of this container works. Then what are the struggles inside the container field. I came to know all the things because of the 14 years experience. Then I started own.
The process of starting the business was an uphill task. Vanmati kick-started this venture with just one welding machine.
We are making homes as per the customers. Customization is the main thing. That whoever wants homes, we know about that financial struggle for construction one home. Starting from buying land, meeting lot of legal activities, then labor problem, then purchasing the raw material, then it will take time to 1 year, 2 years to build a house. But we are giving within 30 days, 20 to 30 days a house. This is also very affordable rate only. So we meet the customer's demand. It's easy, very easier than the construction home.
To turn a metal container into a home, all it takes is 15 days and with a cost of 3 lakh rupees. But Vanmati feels she can still reduce its cost further.
Actually, the rate is right now is one very formal, one kitchen, one room, one restroom is 3.5 to 4 lakhs now the rate. Actually, I want to give per lakh per home. Per individual I want to give, but I'm praying for that because the container basic price will go up. Every day it will go up. That's my mission is that.
Container homes represent a promising solution for affordable, sustainable and customizable living spaces, especially in a densely populated country like India.
Last March we get 20 homes order, only in March. Then now this 1 week time we get 4 homes, all homes only. Nowadays people want to spend time very peacefully in garden or in farm in village side. That also like fast food, they want immediate. For 30 days, within 2 months they want a bada house for them. So we are the correct people for them. So to do business well, even I think so the business will go. The demand for container shelters definitely will go.
In comparison to traditional homes, its construction uses less work and building resources, making it a cheaper choice.
Yeah, this container for a tuition center. One NGO they wants to give that slum area cuties, small kids. For this we are making this side one TV for display something for that students. Another side we are giving one block board, full board for writing and something, and speaker set, everything is customization because they know very well about me, because what is the requirements and all. So we are giving everything, even small, this for that kids one small toys and everything they want to put. Then this also they are customized for a little bigger window. This is very small window like that. The same like that we are giving libraries also. The same setup with books, shelf, everything, in small table in middle for coming reading place. We are giving even libraries, like a tuition center, even plain office. The same office now one put on table and chair is become office. So this type of demand in these also. Yeah, this is very simple only. We are giving within 15 days this so is easy to procure.
Can you imagine buying a house for just 3 lakh rupees? These are the container homes. The basic one with just a bedroom, a kitchen set and a washroom costs only 3 lakh rupees and can be delivered to the customer as early as 15 days. In fact, if I can show you what is inside this container, it's a house, it's a bedroom, and then there is a washroom inside. This could also cost only 3 lakh rupees. Apart from this, they also customize based on what the customer wants. It could be a duplex, house. It could also be a very small house with a living room, a bedroom, a kitchen and a washroom. All these can be delivered within 30 days and they customize it based on what the customer wants. So this is the basic home with just a kitchen, a bedroom and a washroom on the other side. This is around 3 lakh rupees. Apart from homes, they also look at containers that could be transformed into an office space. It could be a tuition center, it could be a library, it could be a restaurant, a fast food or a tea shop. All these can be done where these containers will be repaired, and based on what the customers want, they will customize it. 15 to 30 days is what it takes for them to deliver, and the demand for such homes are only increasing, especially after the COVID phase. With camera person Saravnan, this is Purnima Murli for CNN News 18.
So what do you mean by saying, are you a real pilot? So a pilot is a pilot, just because I'm a woman, they have to ask me, are you a real pilot? Do you really fly? So I think men have still not gotten used to the idea that women can fly and can fly sometimes better than the men. So I think we need to tell them that.
All right then. Thanks so much for joining us, ma'am. You're right, a pilot is a pilot. Gender shouldn't be even talked about, but so nice to see so many more women leading and being in the, being pilots. Start the program today with something that is on everybody's mind. Class 10th and 12th results are out. Everybody's looking at careers. So we thought we'll bring to you a career today, which is actually in demand. You would have heard recently in the news as well that Vistara had to scale back its operation because of what was widely suggested and reported as shortage of pilots.
So, experts say that India needs about 2,500 to 3,000 pilots in the coming year. It's producing right now 1/3 of that number. So, there's obviously a big surge of pilots that's required. But why does that gap exist in the first place? For one, obviously it's very expensive. Training to become a pilot can cost upwards of 50 lakhs for one individual.
But on the other hand, it's also a profession that pays very well eventually. And in other issues that one might be looking at when you look at a career as a pilot is that even though there are several new flying schools that have mushroomed over the country, there is still going to be a while before that gap can be plugged. In fact, the shortage of pilots that you're talking about is not an India-only problem. It is a global phenomena. But in middle of all of this, India actually has a unique silver lining.
India has the highest percentage of female pilots in the world. That's right, at 15%, India is 3 times the global average. The global average is about 5%, which is so cool. Who knew? Well, on TBC today, let's look at careers that give you wings and let's meet someone who's been flying high. This is Captain Nivedita Bhasin.
You have to know about her in detail. She was at the age of 20. Welcome back. It's time to take you through stories that are coming to us from India and across the world. US drug overdose deaths saw a decrease in 2023, marking the first decline in 5 years. Despite this drop, the figures remain significantly higher than they were 5 years ago.
The first official portrait of King Charles III, painted by Jonathan Yeo, has been unveiled. It's a larger-than-life depiction of the king in Welsh Guards uniform, standing at 8 feet by 6 inch by 6 feet by 6 inch. In this new portrait, doused in red, the king is depicted with a sword in hand, a butterfly landing on his shoulder. Though it was given official approval, online users have been divided.
Peru's recent decree classifying transgender, non-binary and intersex individuals as mentally ill sparks a controversy. The move offering free mental health care contrasts with global efforts to destigmatize LGBTQ plus identities, LGBTQ plus identities, conditions being recognized as mental health disorders include transsexualism and dual role transvestism.
New research raises concerns over period tracker apps, highlighting privacy risks for women. The study reveals poor data management practices, including the lack of delete functions when you save sensitive information in the app. Now, millions of users worldwide are now finding the possible misuse of reproductive health data being a very serious risk, from blackmail to discrimination taking place on the basis.
The US Food and Drug Administration approved self-collection of vaginal samples for cervical cancer screening, offering patients a less invasive option. This move aims to expand access to screening and reduce barriers for early cancer detection.
And a new umbrella analysis reveals that adopting certain vegetarian diets can actually reduce the risk of cancer, heart disease, and premature death. This research spanned over 20 years and it highlights the protective effects of vegan, vegetarian, and even lacto-ovo-vegetarian diets. Now, these diets not only lower cardiovascular risk factors, they also show a protective effect against specific cancers.
A new survey shows that India has emerged on top amongst 13 countries in Asia Pacific in its adoption and use of generative artificial intelligence. The Deloitte report surveyed 11,900 individuals across the region and found that 93% of students and 83% of employees in the country are actively engaging with GenAI.
And on the other side of a short break, we take a look at an interesting new release, the Bajaj Pulsar's new model. Its price point, for the fact that it offers all these new technologies, we'll take a deeper dive to see if it's actually as good as it looks.
Became the youngest pilot to command a commercial jet in the history of world civil aviation. Since then, though, through her career spanning decades, she's had multiple other firsts. So we thought we have to bring her on the program. And so lovely to have you, ma'am, with us this morning. Good morning. We want to first start by asking you, this path-breaking journey of yours, how did it start? How did you think of becoming a pilot when nobody was talking about it?
Well, if I start with the story, it'll take until maybe tomorrow. So I really have to condense it into a seed, I think. Actually, I was really young. So I was in school, and our school, Carmel Convent in Delhi, used to be in the diplomatic enclave. So that was absolutely behind the flying club. Those days it was called the flying club. Nowadays they call it a flying school. So it was behind the flying club, and I would see these aeroplanes flying. I would see the birds flying and the aeroplanes flying, and I would just think, I said, oh wow, it'd be so nice, to just soar in the air with these birds. And basically, I wanted to get away from studies.
Tell us, Captain, when you entered the aviation industry as a professional, because this was decades ago, did you feel you were welcomed?
No. So the industry didn't embrace us. The airline, in a way, did, because Indian Airlines was the first airline. At that point of time, there were only 3 airlines. Air India was international, thereafter Indian Airlines was domestic, and Vaidoot was the third level, just the commuter airline in the Northeast. This was in the year 1984. So the airline embraced us, of course, with open arms, because they did not differentiate in the gender. So they, in the...
Welcome back on TVC. We love talking about different days, and if you thought we haven't done that for a while, we've just got one for you. Today is the National Endangered Species Day, a day that is dedicated to raising awareness about the plight of the endangered species and the need to take action to protect them.
So this Global Action Day also serves as a platform to educate people about the importance of saving endangered species to maintain an ecological balance across the entire country. We're going to tell you the 10 falling stars of sorts, which is the most famous endangered species, the ones we want you to turn your attention to. Starting off at number 10, you have the Vaquita. It's the world's rarest marine mammal. And the World Wildlife Organization says there are only 10 in total remaining on the planet. 9, you have, of course, the tiger. 8, you have the whopping crane. 7, you have blue whales. 6, you have Asian elephants, which we're showing you on your screens. And number 5, you have sea otters.
But what about the top 4 over there? Let's look at that now. Number 4, we have the Javan rhinoceros, if I'm getting that pronunciation right over there. There is also the gorilla, there is the Tasmanian devil, and there is also the orangutan.
Okay, so keep your eye out for each of these species, read up about each of them and the stories around them, what's led to them being endangered. Let's shift our focus now to the world of auto though. We're going to give you a closer look at the new Bajaj Pulsar NS400Z. What's exciting is it's been launched at a 1.85 lakh rupee point. This is ex-showroom in what could easily be termed as the most affordable 400cc bike on the market right now. And it packs a long list of features, 40 HP levels of performance. It sounds too good to be true.
But do the specs and the features do justice to the price? How is it really so affordable? The engine performance, design, features, suspension, comfort, all of it, the verdict is out by Overdrive. Take a look.
Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Rohit Paradkar and this is the biggest, baddest, meanest and the most daring Pulsar yet. The Pulsar 400 NSZ. They have added that Z suffix to it because there could be a 400F coming, you never know, a paired version. Why not? I mean, they have such a beautiful platform and a 400 quarter fed from Bajaj to sort of be the spiritual successor to the 220F and the 250F would be just amazing. Anyway, what brings that 400 name to this motorcycle is this. If you were to go closer, you will see 373cc written right there. Where did we read that before? Yes, the older KTM 390 Duke. So I'm guessing they have repurposed that engine for the new Pulsar and it puts out 40 PS of power, which is lesser than the older Duke and the new Duke as well, but on par with the Triumph Speed 400, which again, by the way, is built by Bajaj. Torque is going to be about 35 Newton meters and it's going to come in quite early in the rev range. How that performs on the road is something that we'll know when we review the vehicle. Now this engine also gets riding modes, 4 riding modes: road, rain, sport and even off-road. And those riding modes are not only going to alter your throttle maps but also change the way the ABS behaves. You also get traction control with this. Traction control can be turned off in the sport and the off-road modes, and then the ABS can also be altered. I mean, the behavior of the ABS is also going to be altered with those riding modes. It will depend how intrusive it gets, right? Now, in terms of the engine, yes, it is a liquid-cooled engine. It is held together by this perimeter frame like the typical Bajaj NS philosophy that we've seen. Even the design philosophy is very similar to what we've seen on the NS range. You get the NS badging right here, which from afar reads like WS for some reason. Now the headlight, the most controversial bit, right? Honestly, in the flesh, not controversial at all. I think it looks great. That single pot projector lamp element looks good. This lightning bolt treatment for the LED DRLs, they look really good, especially on the bikes that were on the stage with all the lights, glowing, look brilliant. You also get these vents right here. You see them. That adds a sporty touch. You get this little plastic visor on top. It's not going to give you any weather protection. It's a style or a cosmetic element. And then you get this panel on top. This is what is going to house the instrumentation cluster. Now, they have not left the key here, but this is essentially a color screen with LCD screen with dot matrix print on it. This little here is going to give you your turn-by-turn navigation, your Bluetooth, telephony and music information. Yes, there's Bluetooth, telephony and music. So if you pair your Bluetooth headset, you'll be able to control your phone, telephony, music, etc. from the handlebar directly using the switch cube, and it's going to give you all that info right here. You also get a USB-A port right underneath the instrumentation, and on the other side of the switch gear, you are going to see this hazard light because you get hazard lights on it. You're also going to see adjustable brake and clutch levers, 5-step adjustable both. Now, in terms of the suspension, you're going to get this upside down gold color USD fork. I think it looks quite good, looks quite nice, looks massive, and at the rear, you're going to get this monoshock, preload adjustable, no adjustment for the front suspension. Tires are going to be 110 front, 140 rear. These are the MRF Revs S. And in terms of the braking, dual channel ABS, you get a massive disc up front, a single disc at the back as well, and then you get the Grimeca caliper, something that we saw with the 250 series also. Now you get this leg guard right here, you get these vents right here, again styling elements that we've seen on other Pulsars as well. In terms of the foot pegs, no rubber lining for the pillion, you get a rubber line foot peg for the rider. This is not going to be removable, so don't let that off-road mode give you wild thoughts. This is still a street bike, this is still going to be an awesome stunt machine and a very good motorcycle for sport riding. You get this massive box swing arm at the rear, a massive rear sprocket as well, so gearing is really going to be good is what I believe, and for stunts again it is going to be nice. Going with that venting theme that we saw on the tank and on the headlight, you get these vents right here as well, though the plastic, well, I'm not going to draw too many conclusions right now on the quality, but here, at least on these prototypes, it's a bit off, but then again you get scratches and all these things on these bikes, so these are prototypes, so let's not gauge anything right now. You get the split seat arrangement, you get a single piece grab handle, and in terms of the tail light, you're going to get that split tail light that we've seen on many Pulsars now. You also get this tail tidy kind of an arrangement right now on these display bikes, but of course they will add that rear registration plate, a rear mud flap, etc. I don't think it's going to have that wheel hugger. I have not seen that on any of the spy shots either. What's also missing are the wing mirrors. Those will also be added at a later stage. You also get this belly pan right under the engine, which has a very subtle 400 written on it to let the onlookers know that this is not your average Pulsar, this is the biggest Pulsar yet. Now in terms of the colors, there are going to be 4 of them. You see the grey here, you see the red, which I think is going to be the most popular. Then there is the black. Of course, a black on a Pulsar is always a very important color to have. You get these silver accents, red accents on it. You get the red pinstriping on the wheels as well. So Fear the Black, Fastest Indian, all these tags that Bajaj created over the years with the Pulsar will hold true even for the new 400. Now on the red, you're going to get these black accents, these satin grey accents, and then the belly pan is going to be black, just the way we saw on the black Pulsar. And here again a black belly pan, and you get these high-vis accents on the tank and on the mud flap, etc. This is going to be a very nice glossy metallic grey, and it's got a lot of lint in it. I think it looks quite nice. And then finally there is also the white color, which also I think looks quite nice. This could be another popular option. Here again you're going to get the red accents, the grey accents, etc. Black belly pan continues, red pinstriping on the wheels continues, and there is a matte finish for the mud flap on all the 4 variants. So this is what it looks like. Now variants in the sense only color variants. There are no other variants to speak of as such. There's only one motorcycle, and it's going to be priced at an introductory rupees 1.85 lakh ex-showroom, which I think is a stunning price. And even if it were to increase later, I don't think it will really surpass that 2 lakh rupee mark, which means it is again going to continue offering a value for money, bang for the buck package, just the way you expect out of a Pulsar, right? So let me know what are your thoughts. Nice, beautiful, liquid cooled engine derived from the KTM, 40 PS of power, under 2 lakh rupees, proper Pulsar, upside down forks, rear monoshock, split seat design, stunning looking design. Let me know what are your thoughts though. These are my thoughts. I'll be intrigued to know what do you feel about the motorcycle. What are your questions about the motorcycle? So put them in the comments. We are going to be riding this motorcycle in a couple of days from now, so there is going to be the review, an in-depth review of the NS400, and let me know what do you want to know in that review, so we'll make sure that we include all your questions, all your answers in that, whatever's relevant for sure. So until the next one, take care and ride safe, and I am super excited to ride the new Pulsar very, very soon.
While doing the entrance exam, they accepted us easily, but I still think that, you know, in the cockpit, it was still very much gender oriented a little bit. And like I said, they didn't want to share that space. So it was their sacred domain. And I think they were wary of us stepping in and sharing what they had till now thought that it was their space only. And they didn't want us to, and they thought that we were encroaching their space. So some of the captains were really nice. Of course, we were all trainee pilots, you know, you join as trainee pilots. So some of the captains were really nice. Some of the instructors were very nice, but there were some who made us feel very uncomfortable. At least I felt like that. Maybe the senior ladies didn't feel.
But look at the leap the industry has seen, ma'am, ever since you started out. We now have the highest percentage of female pilots in the world. How did we get that right? Of course, kudos to people like you for leading the way.
You know, the world over, the percentage is only a dismal 4% to 5%. So with India, you know, we boast. Now we are boasting. So from 12% in some airlines to 15% in the other airlines. Indigo and Air India are leading. So I don't know. I think they're neck to neck. I won't say which one is on top now because it's very dynamic. The numbers are changing. So Indigo has done very well and taken care of his women pilots, like Air India also. Indian Airlines and Air India merged in the year 2007. So at a time when I joined, to take you back in that time, in the year 1987, there was no maternity policy for pilots. No maternity policy. So when I conceived and I was going to have my first baby, I didn't know what to do, whom to report, what was the procedure. And of course, now we have a robust maternity policy. Women pilots get leave for 6 months. They can take further leave. Their rosters are better. They can get quick return flights where, it enables them to be home, stay home, breastfeed the young one, and then come back to work. So I think the policy, maternity policy, helps a lot because it gives you the freedom to choose. Of course, you don't get paid for the entire time. But if you choose to do some office work or groundwork, you can still.
Welcome back. The week is drawing to a close. It's Friday. That also means we get you TGIF, our lowdown on fun things you can do with family and friends or just alone this weekend.
Right, and as the IMD predicts that parts of the country are actually going to see soaring temperatures, including Delhi, we've got you covered with outdoor and indoor options. Take a look.
Hi everyone, looking to add a dash of excitement to your weekend? Well, dive into a world of entertainment with the latest movie releases, OTT releases and live events on TGIF. First up, the big silver screen releases. Not much in this segment this weekend, but something that you can watch in the theatres nearby you is Back to Black. It's inspired by Amy Winehouse's life. This movie, in fact, delves into her tumultuous relationship with Blake Fielder's Civil, leading to her iconic album Back to Black. And Election, it's a Tamil film. Nadarasan, uninterested in politics of course, runs for Panchayat leader to honor his father. He in fact faces violence and betrayals in the murky world of election politics. Definitely something that you can watch out for in this heated up election season. Now, shifting focus towards the OTT releases. Number one is Zara Hatke Zara Bachke. It's coming up on Jio Cinema. It's a romantic comedy starring Vicky Kaushal and Sara Ali Khan, following a small town couple's dream of owning a house for themselves. Then Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. It's coming up on Amazon Prime. This is the epic monster movie that brings an exhilarating showdown between the Godzilla and Kong, directed by Adam Wingard. And yes, hold your heart, because it's Bridgerton Season 3, which is coming up on Netflix. This is a popular period drama that continues with the evolving love story between Penelope Featherington and Colin Bridgerton. And Madam Web is also coming up on Netflix. It's a Marvel-inspired film following Cassandra Webb's, which is being played by Dakota Johnson's journey as a paramedic with psychic talents. And The 8 Show, it's a South Korean drama coming up on Netflix, a dark comedy thriller series that explores the themes of collaboration and competition in a high-stakes contest. Now, shifting focus towards some of the events that you can attend this weekend. Number one is The Wanted. The band is performing live in Mumbai on 17th of May. It's going to be a part of their India tour. And Nikita Gandhi, she's also performing her live in concert in Bengaluru on 19th of May. So don't forget to book your tickets. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned to the TGIF on The Breakfast Club.
Occupied and earn a basic salary.
So, ma'am, if we swerve a little and discuss the story we were talking about a little while ago, which is India's current issue, which is that there seems to be a shortage of pilots in India, world over. In India, experts say that there's a gap in the kind of training we give our pilots. How do you see this?
So I think you've hit the nail on the head. The main thing is training. Computer-based training, and the training is evolving. Every day training is evolving. So what we did, I think, in the airlines in India, we didn't evolve with the way the airline industry has, moved up. So it's been exponential. The growth has been exponential with the airlines ordering aircraft. I mean, not in fives and tens, not in tens, but in hundreds. I think we need a lot of pilots. So basically, the first thing is our training schools, our flying schools in India need a revamp, a major upgrade. So I think IGRUA, which is Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, and NFTI, National Flying Training Institute, these are the premier flying Training Institutes of India. They have done really well. They've got simulators, they've got instructors, they fly from beautiful airports, with an air traffic control. That's a need of the hour. And I think sometimes, you hear about these fly by night operators, meaning, they just start a school and then they have crashes. So even the auditing is important of what they are training, how they are training, how it is structured. And children are just going abroad, they're finishing their flying, they're coming back. Sometimes they're not even flying. So they're just filling up their logbooks and they're flying and they're coming back and they join an airline. So I think the training has to be much better, much improved, and it has to be an ongoing process.
Right, right. So lovely to hear that, ma'am. But as we end this segment, is there a particular myth that you find yourself busting since you are such a trailblazer yourself, or a question perhaps that you hear a lot?
Are you a real pilot? So they ask you, so they ask all women they meet, are you a real pilot? Do you act?
Welcome back. Next, we bring you a special section of financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's start with market cues. GIFT Nifty trends indicate a muted opening for the Indian equity indices. US stocks give up gains after the US Federal Reserve officials indicated higher for longer policy rates. Asian equity indices are trading lower as investors assess Fed rate cut odds. Crude oil prices hold firm on worries of low US inventories. Gold prices slip as the dollar powers ahead against global currencies.
And the automobile sector is on a roll if we just focus on sectors, but farm equipment has been on a weak footing so far. The expected normal monsoon, it's hoped, will actually aid the fortune of this entire segment. But can investors bet on a larger rural recovery taking place? You can find out about exactly this. Log into Money Control Pro to find out more about the automobile and related sectors along with other actionable insights. It's the premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights you'll ever need, brought to you by Money Control. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our show. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend.
We'll see you on Tuesday next. Monday, Mumbai, go out and vote.
Goodbye.
So I get asked the question even now, so what do you mean by saying, are you a real pilot? So a pilot is a pilot, just because I'm a woman, they have to ask me, are you a real pilot? Do you really fly? So I think men have still not gotten used to the idea that women can fly and can fly sometimes better than the men. So I think we need to tell them that.
All right then. Thanks so much for joining us, ma'am. You're right, a pilot is a pilot. Gender shouldn't be even talked about, but so nice to see so many more women leading and being in the, being pilots. Start the program today with something that is on everybody's mind. Class 10th and 12th results are out. Everybody's looking at careers. So we thought we'll bring to you a career today, which is actually in demand. You would have heard recently in the news as well that Vistara had to scale back its operation because of what was widely suggested and reported as shortage of pilots.
So experts say that India needs about 2,500 to 3,000 pilots in the coming year. It's producing right now 1/3 of that number. So there's obviously a big surge of pilots that's required. But why does that gap exist in the first place? For one, obviously it's very expensive. Training to become a pilot can cost upwards of 50 lakhs for one individual.
But on the other hand, it's also a profession that pays very well eventually. And in other issues that one might be looking at when you look at a career as a pilot is that even though there are several new flying schools that have mushroomed over the country, there is still going to be a while before that gap can be plugged. In fact, the shortage of pilots that we're talking about is not an India-only problem. It is a global phenomena. But in middle of all of this, India actually has a unique silver lining.
India has the highest percentage of female pilots in the world. That's right, at 15%, India is 3 times the global average. The global average is about 5%, which is so cool. Who knew? Well, on TBC today, let's look at...
A very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching the morning news on CNN News 18. I'm Anjali Pandey here to take you through all the latest news and updates from across the nation and around the world. And our top focus continues to remain on Swati Maliwal assault case. Now, days after assault, AAP MP Swati Maliwal finally broke her silence yesterday. Maliwal said that what happened to her was unfortunate and confirmed that she has recorded her statement with the Delhi police. She has also urged to not politicize this particular matter and said that attempts have been made to assassinate her character. An FIR has been registered against Bibhav Kumar, who is the personal secretary of Delhi